What's up, DN fam? It's your girl Niyah, and I am back with another video. Guys, today, as you can see by the title, it's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be a story time. We're about to get real deep and personal. I just really wanted to do this video because I get a lot of questions, like DMs and stuff, asking me about my story and everything, or I get DMs from people who actually go through similar things, not knowing that I have. So I just really want to, like, tell my story, put it all out there, be open, be vulnerable with you guys. We're family, so I definitely think it's time to actually, do a video like this. Before we get into it, guys, just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell for post notifications so you never miss a video again. And please subscribe and share our videos, guys. We are on the road to 10K. We are almost there, so please get us there. So where do I start? I'm just gonna say, if you guys are new to our channel, or if you don't know, my name is Niyah, Kaniyah, Niyah is for short. I have a son, and he is 7 years old. His name is Caden. A lot of you probably didn't know that. Some of you probably did, because you see him in our videos already. But I've been getting so many questions, like asking, oh, tell us more, about your son. Several people have asked me this. Literally, this is not like something I kind of open up about a lot, unless you like know me and like witness what I actually went through around these times. But yes, I was a teen parent. He's 7, like I said, and I'm 23, so you do the math. I had him when I was 16 years old, so I was 16 and pregnant. Well, actually 15 and pregnant, and I had him when I was 16 because his birthday is right after mine. I'm just gonna get started all from the beginning. This is before I met Dre. This is before we just had our daughter. This is just me and my story. So let me think. Okay, like I said, I'm trying to think where to start. This is like crazy. But I just really, before I even get into it, I just want to say that, like, we want to let you guys in more of our life, in our personal life, and how things really are with us. So I feel like this is a big piece to part of our life, part to me and Dre and Niyah, like what makes us, our relationship, what makes me. So definitely this is why I wanted to do this video. I think it is definitely a good time. Okay, so I'm gonna start at the beginning. Like I said, I was 16 and pregnant. I was a teen mother, had my son when I was 16 years old. Not a lot of people know that. And this was when I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school, just getting there, really getting exposed to things like boys, dating, peer pressure, stuff like that. And I had my first boyfriend when I was 15, or like 14 turning 15, yeah, like that. So I'll just say 15. And this is someone that I went to high school with. Me and him were together for maybe like a year or so around that time. And things were actually good. It was my first relationship. Like, what could you really expect out of a first relationship? I was still a child, still a kid, definitely acted as one. But we literally, we were together, used to hang out all the time. And I was a virgin, of course. I didn't really know much about those type of things, like losing your virginity, having sex young. And I kind of wish I would have like educated myself a little bit better back then, so I could have been safer. but I definitely don't regret how things went. I definitely don't regret my life now as a mother or anything, because this literally made me me. Like, being a teen mom shaped me for the woman I am today, and I am so grateful for that. Like, my son, he is amazing. Like, his spirit, he is just amazing. He's so funny, so smart, you know. That part of my life, that love, if this didn't happen to me, I would have never got that. So I'm super grateful for it. But like I said, I wish I would have knew more. But I decided, you know, to lose my virginity when I was 15. And I think it was something like more of like peer pressure, like not from him, but like from the environment I was in, you know, like where I grew up. It was just like, seemed like everybody was doing it, you know. And literally, that seems like a young age, but definitely people were already doing it in my high school, you know, talking about it. And I guess, you know, people get curious, but whatever. End up losing my virginity, and like I said, I didn't really know much about like having safe sex like I should have, and I ended up getting pregnant. I did not know I was at first. Like, when I found out, I never took a test or anything. It was just like, I knew. Like, when people say, oh, like, I know I'm pregnant, like, I felt it in my body. Like, you just know yourself. And even being that young, like, just feeling that feeling for the first time, I just knew something wasn't right. Like, I didn't feel normal. And of course, I missed my period. So I never like really kept track of my period back then, you know, because definitely I was young. So that wasn't like something I really did. But I just remember missing my period. And this had to be like around April of that year. I remember it was like April of that year. And I missed it. That's when I first feel like I found out. I got like, you know, I was feeling weird. I was feeling different. Like, it just was crazy. I kept waiting for my period to come. It never came. So I'm like, you know, I'm just thinking back then, I can't be pregnant. Like, I'm too young. Like, no, this like can't be me. Like, I was so in denial. I did not believe anything, because I'm like, this can't happen to me. Like, you know, just me, my personality. Like, I always grew up, you know, I was like, I don't want to say I was like a goody two shoes, but I definitely was like the good one. You know, I never really got in trouble much. I never really did anything, you know, that was bad. So it's like, I'm like, not me. Like, this couldn't be me. Like, that's definitely what I was thinking, you know. So I just kept brushing it off, like, whatever, this is not me. Pregnant who? How can I be? That's definitely what was going through my mind. But in reality, I should have been like, girl, like, stop playing, because you definitely are. I remember like definitely telling you know, the guy back then, I was telling him. Now, the only reason I'm talking like this, I'm just gonna put this out there before I even get to it. I'm saying the guy, I'm not saying any names. I'm not bashing any of the other parties. It's just the truth to my story. But he's not around, and he's never been around ever. We're gonna get to that, but that's just something I wanted to say. So, you know, I remember telling him, my boyfriend at the time, that, you know, I haven't got my period, you know, and we know what that means. That's when you don't get your period. And he is like, oh, I don't really remember exactly what was the words or anything, but I just know he definitely was like, oh no, like, definitely was not for, like, he just was not having it. Of course, I wasn't either, but that was just a choice I had to make, because I didn't know, if that makes sense. But I remember at first he was just, you know, real supportive there, like, okay, we're gonna figure this out, we're gonna go, we're gonna get through it, you know, we're gonna tell our parents, you know, we're gonna weigh out our options to see, you know, which road we're gonna take. But it was like one day all of that changed, y'all. I'm telling you, like, one day he probably like sitting there thinking of something, and this person that I knew was just not the same after that. Like, this nice guy, because we worked together for a while and he always treated me nicely, I'm gonna say that. But after this happened, that just all went out the window. He started telling me, mind you, at this point I only told him. No one else in my life knew when I found out, and I didn't take a test. Like I said, I just knew, and I didn't get my period for, you know, about a couple months now. So I'm like, I'm pregnant. Definitely started feeling sick. I would get like sick sometimes when I ate. So I remember I ate like pizza one time, and oh my gosh, I got so nauseous. So I'm like, this is not normal, you know, this is not me. It was to the point where my body is just like, I started losing weight. I started looking very sick because it's like I was just so stressed out with the situation and everything I was going through. Like, I looked like I wasn't myself. But he started, you know, telling me things like, maybe we should just lie and say like you got raped. You should tell your family you got raped. Like, he just was making it clear that he wanted no parts of this. And it was like a lot on me, you know. Like, I'm like, wow, like, why would someone, you know, say stuff like that? Like, why would they, you know, want to treat me like that if we were supposed to be together? And he would say things, you know, just totally negative things, like tell people you got raped. I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, first he's like, we're gonna try to get an abortion, this da da da. You know me, I'm so young, I didn't know anything about that type of stuff, like how to go about it, how to do it. And I was so scared to tell anybody else around me. I was so scared to tell my family because I just thought they were gonna be very upset at me. I didn't really even tell my friends. I didn't even tell my siblings, like my sisters. And me and my sisters, we were close. I didn't even tell them because it's just like, I was worried about how everyone would look at me. You know, I didn't want people to be upset with me. You know, I didn't know what my family would think. Like, if they would kick me out the house, or if they would disown me. You know, I didn't know what my family would do. So I made the choice to hide it. And I hid it for a very long time, deep in my pregnancy, because I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Like, it was just, you know, it was just crazy being young and like going through something that adults go through. Like this, you know, that's why it's teen pregnancy, because this is something that, you know, you do when you're an adult. So I remember, like, I was really at a point, I was very ashamed, embarrassed, sad. I was just disappointed in myself, you know. I end up hiding it, as far as like, I used to always like wear big clothes to school, around the house, you know, just so nobody would notice things, because I was a really skinny girl. Like, growing up all my life, I literally weighed 100 pounds in high school, legit, only 100 pounds. So I was very little, you know. I didn't start showing until maybe months after, like maybe 6 months, I think, when my stomach might have got a little bigger, but not really big to the point I couldn't, you know, hide it. And I just used to, the stress of me trying to hide something like a deep dark secret, it was just the worst, like the worst feeling ever. And I used to just tell him, like, well, you know, when are we gonna tell people? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, we should tell our parents and stuff. He just was like, no, like, we're not gonna do that. Like, you're gonna say you got raped, you know, I didn't do this. And it got to the point where he stopped talking to me. Like, used to ignore me, not talk to me anymore, you know, didn't want to be with me anymore just because of the situation. And I remember I used to be really sad. Like, you know, I'm 15 years old going through this. That was a lot. And I remember he used to even make rumors about me. He used to make rumors about me, just implying like, oh no, that's not my baby, like I didn't do this. And it just looked stupid because like everybody knew we were in a relationship. So like, bro, are you dumb? Like, are you slow? This don't even make sense, the stuff you're saying. And a lot of that stuff used to hurt my feelings back then, you know, when I was younger. But now I'm definitely over it. I'm past that part of my life, so I can talk about it freely because I mean, I really don't care. It's made me, and I'm actually doing good in my life, so whatever, you know. But I actually like made a list of like talking points, so I'm about to see, because I didn't want to leave anything out. But okay, so you know, I said I hid it from my family, and I remember this one day, like I couldn't hide it anymore, because this is how my family found out. Okay, I kept having to like go, okay, one thing about, we always made sure like we went to the doctor like every 6 months or however, when you're little, you know how often you're supposed to go to the doctor. And my family was definitely up on that. Like my mom worked a lot, so my grandmother, she would like take us to the doctor. Like that's stuff she would do. And I remember like one appointment I had, I missed it because of some reason. I made up some stupid excuse why I didn't go to the doctor, because I knew this was going to happen, and I knew if I went to the doctor, like they would have found out I was pregnant. So I was really avoiding it. But my grandmother, she was like, okay, she rescheduled the appointment to like a later date. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, like I was literally every day counting down these days. Like I was like, I have to tell her, I have to tell somebody, because me and my grandma, we were like this, like we always been like this throughout my life, very close. So you know, things you would think it would have been easy for me to tell her, which I wanted to so many times. Like I would just be sitting there talking to her, and I just wanted to confide in her or like someone in my family, but I just felt so scared. Like I didn't know how they would think, so I just didn't say anything. But it was finally like that next time I had to go to the doctor, and she took me. And my grandma, she used to be nosy a little bit but she used to come in the doctor's room with us, like definitely in a room with us, making sure everything was okay. Like she was one of those grandmas, she stayed on it, like she definitely was on it. So you know, it was time to go to the doctor, and I remember like I just couldn't say it out of my mouth. You know, I'm a really private person, like to myself type person anyways. And I remember I wrote her a letter. And I was basically, you know, I was telling her everything that went on, like how I felt. I told her like, grandma, like I don't feel like I'm getting like teary-eyed, because like this is like sad, all those emotions, I'm feeling them right now. But I told her in that note, like, you know, that I don't know what to do, I feel sad, I feel depressed, and I've been like this for months. Because I told you guys, like I hid this from my family. It was probably like 6, almost 7 months. It was like maybe 7 months when they found out. That's how long I was able to hide it, which is crazy. But I told her, you know, in a note, like he doesn't want anything to do with it. I basically wrote, you know, I'm pregnant and stuff. And I just remember she was reading it, and the way she like looked at me, you know, she was just like couldn't believe it. And I don't think it was so much as like she looked at me that way because, you know, the fact that I was pregnant, but it was just the fact that what I was going through for all these months, and I was going through it alone. Like it was times, you know, I didn't know what to do, and I used to be, man, I just remember it was like the summer. I remember I was pregnant that summer, you know. It came summertime when school ended, and that's, of course, school ended, so I didn't see him every day anymore. So it was like, I just wasted my whole summer. I remember like I was literally in like some deep depression at such a young age. I would sleep the whole day away. I would, man, like not even want to get up. Like when it got nighttime, I would just be like, yes, it's almost time to go to bed. Another day over with. Because that's just how my day felt every day. Like it was just sad because I was just so alone. Like, you know, dealing with someone not wanting to deal with what I have to deal with. And that was not a choice I got to make. I didn't get to say, oh well, I don't want to be a mother, you know, rather how a boy can say like, oh, I don't want to be a father. And that was just hard for me to deal with. And plus, of course, at the time, you know, I didn't want to be pregnant. I didn't know how I would take care of a child. I'm young. I still wanted to live my high school life. Like I was a cheerleader. Like I had a regular high school life. You know, I went to school. I got good grades. You know, this was stuff that I took pride in doing. And high school is where you find yourself. So, of course, me going through this made my high school life different than anyone else's. And when my grandma found out, you know, we were at the doctor, I remember, and the doctor like examined me and everything. It was like, oh yeah, she is pregnant. They basically confirmed it. And that's when, you know, I just felt like a weight was lifted off me, my heart, like my shoulders. I finally had told somebody. It felt so much better that I finally got it out. And my grandmother, we talked about it and everything. At this point, it was like, what are you gonna do? But I was so far along at this point, so it was like, I had to have him. And I wasn't gonna give my son up for adoption. That didn't make no sense. I just knew I wasn't gonna go through all this pain, all this headache to give him to somebody else. No, that was one thing I said, you know, I'm keeping him. You know, that's what I wanted to do. And she was like, you know, I have to tell your mother. And I was just like, I did not want her to tell my mom at all. But of course she had to. And my mom, the way she took it hard, I want to say, only because I feel like she really didn't want me to have like the life she had. Like she had my oldest sister when she was 17. She had me when she was 21. I think she was like 19, 20 when she had my other sister. So, you know, this is 21. She already had the three of us. So, of course, I know she kind of wanted better for us. And, you know, she cried when she found out. I just remember this. Like, my mom cried and she left the house. Like, she left the house. But I guess she had to, you know, take it in and calm down. Which, that made me feel like, I just remember I just bust out crying when it happened. Literally, when my family found out, the first to know was my mom and my grandmother. And I even feel like, you know, I didn't tell nobody. I was even scared to tell my best friends at the time. Like, I literally, my friends, like, they knew, but they were like waiting for me to tell them. And they were, you know, they didn't want to say anything because they weren't sure. So they like were waiting for me to tell them. But I just, you know, kept it to myself. But when my family, after, you know, I told my mom, you know, when you tell your mama something, she tell the whole family. Yes, it was one of those. So after this, everybody knew. Like, everybody just knew after this. And which was okay because, you know, everybody's going to find out anyways. But I literally at this moment regretted not telling my family it's like sooner, because they could have helped me through this situation. They could have helped me figure out, you know, they could have been my support system like they were, because literally the way I thought people were going to react to me, like my family, was the total opposite. I just didn't know what to expect. My family has literally since then been so supportive to me. They never ever made me feel bad about myself or the situation. It was literally like, okay, what we gonna do from here? Like, they literally is like, okay, like, you know, this is something we have, this is the cards we were dealt, so we're gonna deal with them. And still, I was so embarrassed, like ashamed of other people knowing, like people I went to school with. You know, so going to school was really hard, but I knew people were gonna like find out soon because of course, you know, I was definitely showing by then. So yeah, when my family came out, they contacted his family and told his dad. Now his mother was not in his life, so that kind of really shaped the way he actually acted. But he only had to deal with, it was only him, his twin sister, he had a twin sister, and his dad. So he only had his dad in his life. And of course, when you think someone has a dad in their life and that's your father, you would think that person would help you be a father, or like mold you into the man you should be. But that was not the case in this situation. Yeah, like they called his dad and they, you know, told him, and his dad was just like, I don't even remember, but his dad was just really a rude person to begin with. That's one thing I do remember. Like, this man was very rude. Like, to this day, honestly, I just remember that he was very ignorant, rude. Like, that was just his behavior. Like, he already had like issues with his father. Like, they will always be fighting into it. Like, his dad will put him in a hospital, like doing stuff. I don't even know if this stuff was true, honestly, because this boy, he was like a compulsive liar. So this is just stuff he has said that he would come telling me and my family that happened. And it's just like, it was just weird. Like, the whole family was just weird, basically. But his dad, I just remember him, you know, he was like, I don't know if he was like cool about it. Of course he wasn't happy, but yeah, I do remember his dad was like trying to go crazy on my mom and my grandma on the phone. Like, this is your fault. Like, this is your daughter and she this and that. Like, he was going crazy, like not realizing that his son played a part in this. That's why I was like very confused. But, you know, he definitely did not make him step up as a father should do for his son, if that makes sense. So anyways, he knew, and I remember like that's when like he tried to be all back, you know, cool with me after the situation. And I'm like, okay, you know, I chose to give him a chance to, you know, come in and be a part of this, because I'm like, this is not just my child, this is his child too. So I gave him that chance. You know, I tried to forgive everything that he did. And it just was so flip-floppy. Like, one minute he want to be involved and stuff, you know, oh, we should name the baby this, that, like, then the next minute it was all like, oh no, that is not my baby. Like, he was telling people that I went to school with, like spreading rumors about me, telling people that he is not the father, it has to be somebody else, implying that I was one of those type of girls, like a HOE or something. And it's like, people wasn't even believing him, because you're telling people who actually know me. Like, what? These are not just people who don't know me. These are people who actually know me, and they know I'm not that type of girl. They know we were in a relationship. So it's just like, people end up not liking him for that, because it's like, bro, you're lame. Like, who does that? And I can laugh about this now, but back then, you know, it wasn't funny. It was very hurtful, because it's like, he tried to ruin me and my image. And that really like hurt me, you know? But I really had to get tough skin. Like, this is one of the type of things that I had to have tough skin about, because people were gonna talk. And I used to really be affected by what people would say, but now I can care less what people think about me, because this is me, you know, I know me. So whatever people say about me, whatever rumors, is not true. I had to learn that the hard way. But he used to get into it with me and my family, like his family, because his dad, like I said, was very rude, very ignorant. And he just used to be tweaking. Like, that's what I can remember. I just remember, like, this is after my family found out. A few of my close friends knew, but nobody else knew after that. And I just remember me having to go back to school. And of course, like I said, you know, nobody knew. So it's like I was just trying to hide it still from people at school, because, you know, being that young, you don't want to have to go through like getting bullied or, you know, people talking about you. But that's just something you just could not avoid in my situation. So going back to school, it was like really hard, because I told you guys I started getting bigger. It was really noticeable. At this time I was probably like 7-8 months, so definitely it was noticeable. And literally, like, that's when I just started hating going to school. Like, I literally started hating to go to school, because come on, you know how somebody talking about you, but they not talking about you to you, but you know they talking about you, or you can hear people talking about you. Yes, so it was a lot of that that made me not want to go to school. And I literally, like, I had went home one day and I was like, oh, I'm not going back. And I had to really learn, like, how to have tough skin and have to deal with all that. But just fast forward to I keep like stopping this video like in clips, so I don't know like where I left off. But I'm gonna talk about like the birth of my son. Like, fast forward to that part, you know, I didn't even know what I was having at first until I was like 7 months. So, you know, I of course like wanted a girl, because what girl doesn't want a girl? But when I found out I was having a son, I was like, wow, like, I don't know, I didn't really know how to react and still process the whole situation, because of course I was so young, and you know, this wasn't the life I chose for myself. Well, wanted for myself, not chose for myself. But when I had my son, he was my mom and my grandmother and my aunt, they were there for me the whole time. My dad was there too when I had him. My sisters, like, I just had a whole support system. That's why I said I wish I would have, you know, told them earlier, because they did nothing but support me the whole time. And I remember, like, when I had him, you know, this is like kind of when the guy started trying to come back around, and, you know, saying he wanted to be involved. So I let him. And, you know, I was telling him like, okay, I'm at the hospital now, you know, I'm about to have him. And after I had him, like, it was a crazy tough labor. Like, it was just hard for me to process, because like that was all new to me. So my first labor was definitely different than my second labor. But I told him that, you know, I'm at the hospital, I'm about to give birth and stuff. And he, okay, when can I come up there and see him? And I was like, whatever, okay. So they end up coming the same day I had him, like later that night. He came with his dad and his sister. And now that I think about it, I just don't think their intentions were pure. I think they just wanted to like come see him, to see like what he looked like, you know, that type of stuff. Because those were the type of people they are. Like, they already said all this bad stuff about me and my family, and how they didn't want to be involved. So it was like kind of strange that they were coming to be involved now. But, you know, he saw him that one time and he held him, and after that I never seen him again. That was the only time that he saw him. At that point, he didn't want to be involved again. It was just a lot of drama, like, with that situation. I am so glad it is like over with, because it was just a lot of drama, and I hate drama. And he just never, like, it's just sad, like, you know, that someone can be like that, or someone can allow their son to be like that. And I mean, it used to bother me back then, you know, But now I don't care, because like I told you, you know, where I am in my life, that part of me made me, and it definitely made me stronger in the woman I am today. But you know, when I had my son, you know, of course I had those thoughts like every teenager would in my position. How am I going to graduate school? Like, how am I going to get a job? How am I going to live? You know, how am I going to still make way, you know, because I have a child, so I have to find ways to support them. And one thing about it, like my family, like that's why it's just like I love them and appreciate them, tell them all the time, because I could have been on the street, you know, I could have been had to fend for myself, like no help for me and my son. But that's not how they wanted it to be. They told me, oh yeah, you're gonna graduate school and you're gonna go to college. Like that was my big thing, you know, because with those two things, that would help me make a way in a living, so I could be able to get a good job to provide for my son. And since that day, since I had him, those two things, it was tunnel vision. I had to do those two things. I eventually went back to school after I had him, and my grandmother, she watched him. She took care of him for me while I was at school, and it was hard, literally, like going back to school, because I had to realize, you know, I don't have that regular teenage life like I wanted to. And of course, just dealing with what I had to deal with, it made me like to a point where I was very embarrassed and ashamed of my situation. Like I literally wish back then that I could just hop on YouTube and tell my story and have people support me, or I can just type in teen pregnancies on YouTube and I see girls like me. Like I wish I would have had that back then, because I literally had no one. I had no one. When no one knew about it, when it was just me, I didn't have nobody. So that made everything hard. And it's just that kind of just, I don't know, it made me a different person. Of course, I had to grow up early, and like I said, you know, I still had to focus on school and the regular teenage stuff, while also being a mom. Like that was very tough, mentally, physically, emotionally. And me, I'm the type of person, I like to, you know, I don't like to show my feelings a lot. I don't like to show that things affect me or like somebody's getting to me. I'm definitely like not that type of person. I just try to act like nothing is wrong and everything. And that's how I had to take life. I had to still act like it didn't bother me, like the whole situation. But in reality, it really did. After I graduated, Kaden, he was like 2 when I graduated from high school. And my job through high school, like I went to school, worked a regular job. I worked a job. I used to straight from school go to work, come home. I wasn't getting home till like 11 o'clock at night. He's already asleep. You know, I didn't even get to spend much time with him as I could, like because of everything, you know, school and work. And that's why I appreciate my grandmother so much, because she literally made it her business and said that she was going to help me with him, because she still wanted me to be successful in life. She still wanted me to have a regular life, and I really appreciate her for that. While I went to college, because you guys know, like I graduated last year, but people probably wonder like, how are you in college, and you know, how are you living on campus and you had a son? So how I did that, like I said, my grandmother, she just devoted her time. She said she's gonna take care of him for me while I'm in school. And that was the same thing with college. I was able to get the opportunity to get into a college that was close to my house, and I stayed there instead of like commuting back and forth every day, because it was like maybe like 30 some minutes away or whatever. So instead of like going every day, because she really just wanted me to focus on school and be successful and graduate. And man, like literally I would be at school during the week, and then on the weekends I would come home and be with him. So I did that every week, Monday through Friday. Well, yeah, Monday through Friday I'm at school. Then Friday, after I got home from class, I would go home again and spend my time there through the weekend. Sunday again I would go back, or Monday morning. That's how it was. Like, that's how life was for me. And no, that's why I wasn't like, that was just how my life was. Like, a lot of people didn't know how my life was at home unless you really knew me or you were really close to me. And college is where I met my boyfriend now, Dre, of course, on the channel. And you know, at first people used to ask me stupid questions like, does Dre know you have a son? Like, why wouldn't the person I'm dating know I have a son? Come on, make it make sense. That's just not something he talks about heavily, because that's not his story to tell. That's my story. And I respect him for that. Like, I always respected him for that, because, you know, I used to think that, you know, me having a child, like, people will always think, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cry, but I used to always think people will just all back think a certain way about me. Like, you know how you would proceed to how you would think of someone who has a child already. And that's what really made me embarrassed to not like talk about it heavily. But I had to learn, like, literally probably now, like, this is what made me. But he never like held any of that against me or like judged me for that. He really, since I met him, it's just always been the same vibes, really been understanding to my situation, and really have been supportive. And I'm just so thankful that, you know, I have the support system that I have, because I literally wouldn't have been able to do it. You know, I would have probably gave up a long time ago. Like, I'm telling this story like the best way I can, but only I like really felt it and how it is, you know, to go through something at such a young age. And I just literally never, like 7 years ago, to see myself like this now, you know, like graduated from college, have my degree, you know, being in a successful relationship, having another child. Like, I would have never thought that life for me, because I used to think like, oh, who will ever want to be with me again, and I already have a child, if the person whose child it was didn't even want to be with me? Or like, who would want to deal with my son if he didn't even want to deal with my son? And that's just stuff I used to think at that young age, but it was not like that at all. It was just crazy, you know, that I thought like that looking back now. I just really wanted to, like, you know, tell a little bit of my story. I didn't want to make this video too long. I kind of wanted to make it straight to the point. But I just want to make it for any girl out there that is going through something similar, who is a teen parent. If it might get tough on you, if you feel down and out, like, you can definitely just know that it will get better. That's what I never thought. You know, I didn't think it was gonna get better, but it did. And definitely, like, if anybody has a similar story or like needs somebody to talk to, because I you know, I barely could find people who was in my same situation who could relate, so I didn't have no one to talk to. So you guys can DM me, like, if you need someone to talk to, like any teen mothers, any mothers period. Like, I'm always free to talk. I'm probably gonna do a part 2 to this story after I watch it and edit it and see if I need to add a little more. But I just want to get my story out there and tell a little bit about it. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and leave any comments below, any questions you have, anything like that. Thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next video.